Well, two knife videos in one day. Earlier I showed you this first friction folder that I just finished making, which came out pretty good for a guy who doesn't make a lot of knives. And I figured while I was at it, I would show you something that I recently acquired. This is now the pride and joy of my collection. In 2016, I was lucky enough to meet a guy named Bill the Shivs. That's not his real name, but we'll use that for now. I was naive enough to think it was his real name until I figured out the joke, Build Shivs. Anyway, so he introduced me to a guy named Pat Havlin. And Pat is one of the last fellows in this country who is a real expert at classic Italian automatics. And so he introduced me to Pat, and Pat's a hell of a nice guy. And over this past year, I ended up getting together with Pat, and we came up with this. This is what I had him build me. And this beast is unbelievable. I told Pat I was interested in something a little bit unusual, so what we ended up going with was a 12-inch square button picklock. And for those of you in the know, or maybe just know a little bit, the square button's kind of a rarity. A few of them were made by the Latama company, the Latin American knife company, way back in the 50s and 60s. There weren't a lot of them done, and they're kind of the grail for collectors. So when guys have one made nowadays, it's still something special. It's a little bit more unusual. Your normal Italian has the button here instead of up here. And this one's also what they call a picklock, meaning it doesn't have a rotating bolster to unlock it. So this one is a 12-inch version. I figured it would just be a little bit different. I didn't want to go with the 11, which I always feels a little bit too small in my hand. And a 13 is a little bit tough to carry. Luckily, I'm here in Florida. I can actually carry this if I want to, and I have a concealed weapons permit. But I wanted something that was still hefty like a 13, but a little bit more carryable, so I ended up going with a 12. And then we did something very unusual here. No laws are broken, so don't worry about it, but I made the handles for this myself. The handles are actually a sandwich of ivory and black water buffalo. And you can see the layers here. And I've had ivory knives before, and quite frankly, once you have one in your hand, you never want to go back. They have a particularly good feel to them. But it's not for everybody because selling them is just about impossible. You can only sell it in the same state that you have it in. You're not really supposed to take them across state lines. There's a lot of strange rules about the stuff, so people don't mess with it that much. This one's not the easiest thing to open, I will give you that. It's a lot of pressure. I opened that deliberately like that so I could keep it in view. But it does fire with one hell of a bang. And this one is the steel on that, if you want to take a look there. This is by a guy named Mike Norris, who makes Damascus stainless. It's not like Damasteel, which is made of a powdered material into patterns. This is actually made in the same way you would do normal Damascus steel, except this is actually stainless. This is called Hornet's Nest. It's really gorgeous stuff. And I actually put an edge on there. Pat normally doesn't put much more than a utility edge on there. I actually put a 21-degree angle edge on there because I like to do more than just stick things with a knife. I actually use them for cutting and whatnot. But I was going to say, if you look here the way this works, in order to open it, you actually have to push this mechanism back, the locking tab here, and that's how you would lock it. So if we were going to fire this thing, let me see if we can get enough room here. Boom. And it really has a pretty authoritative snap to it. He also did the button and the safety in the same kind of Damascus. The guy is an absolute artisan. I mean, the thing just locks up like a fixed blade. I mean, there's no movement whatsoever. The fit and finish are beyond reproach. I mean, if you compare this to knives that you could pay, let's say $300-400 for, it just really blows them away. I mean, obviously something like this is not inexpensive. A knife like this is well over $1,000. But if you're a collector and you really want the best of the best, this is one of the guys. Let's see if you can see his name there on the blade. You can see they're very close. It's Havlin. So he's out of Ohio. The guy is one of the nicest people to ever meet. He's older now. I don't know how much longer he's going to be doing this stuff. So for collectors, one of those knives, if you got to have something kind of rare, this is one way to go. There's not many people making these things anymore, so you get your hands on it while you can, because a knife like this will last generations. When I'm gone, my son or my daughter will have it, and I'm hopefully they'd give it to one of their kids. But hope you enjoy. Take care.